The United States is teetering on the precipice of an unprecedented constitutional crisis, a moment poised to indelibly mark the nation's history and test the very foundations of its democratic institutions. A federal judge, in a move that defies historical precedent and challenges long-held norms, has taken the extraordinary and arguably audacious step of directly transmitting evidence of impeachable offenses to the United States Congress. This seismic action, fraught with political and legal implications, occurred while a federal criminal trial involving former President Donald Trump was still actively underway, amplifying the gravity of the situation and injecting an unparalleled level of uncertainty into the already highly charged political atmosphere. The implications of this judicial intervention are far-reaching, raising fundamental questions about the separation of powers, the role of the judiciary in political accountability, and the future of American democracy itself. Judge IMPEACHEMET's decision, a calculated and deliberate act that has sent shockwaves through the corridors of power in Washington, D.C., was triggered by the dramatic and highly publicized expulsion of Trump's legal team from the courtroom for committing perjury, a blatant violation of legal ethics and a direct affront to the integrity of the judicial process. This unprecedented courtroom drama, captured by cameras and broadcast across the nation, served as the catalyst for the judge's extraordinary action, prompting him to take matters into his own hands and initiate a process that could lead to the former president's impeachment and potential removal from office. The judge's decision has not only ignited a political firestorm but has also raised serious questions about the limits of judicial authority and the potential for the judiciary to become entangled in partisan political disputes. The judge's referral included a meticulously compiled trove of damning evidence, painting a stark and unflattering picture of potential wrongdoing by the former president and his legal team. Among the materials submitted to Congress were detailed transcripts documenting Trump's lawyers committing perjury under oath, a blatant disregard for the truth, and a direct assault on the principles of justice. The evidence also included a $40 million Saudi payment email that directly contradicted the lawyers' claims, exposing a web of deceit and raising serious questions about potential conflicts of interest. Furthermore, the referral contained body camera footage capturing the dramatic moment when federal marshals escorted the legal team out of the courtroom, a visual representation of the unraveling of Trump's legal defense and the severity of the situation. Perhaps the most damaging and politically explosive evidence included in the referral were recordings of Trump instructing associates to disregard court orders and threatening judges, revealing a pattern of behavior that strikes at the very heart of the rule of law and undermines the independence of the judiciary. These recordings, if authenticated and proven to be accurate, could provide compelling evidence of obstruction of justice, abuse of power, and a blatant disregard for the legal system. This comprehensive package of evidence, carefully assembled and meticulously documented, has landed squarely in the hands of the House Judiciary Committee, igniting immediate action and setting the stage for a potential impeachment vote that could have profound consequences for the future of the nation. House Resolution 2353, containing 7 articles of impeachment against the former president, has gained majority support with stunning speed, signaling a dramatic and potentially irreversible shift in the political landscape. Republicans who previously defended Trump and stood firmly by his side are now openly calling for his resignation or removal from office, highlighting the growing sense of unease and disillusionment within the party, and suggesting that even some of his staunchest allies are beginning to distance themselves from the embattled former president. This sudden and unexpected shift in political allegiances underscores the gravity of the situation and suggests that the evidence against Trump is so compelling that even members of his own party are finding it increasingly difficult to defend his actions. The House of Representatives is now poised to vote on impeachment within a mere 72 hours, thanks to the invocation of the 72-hour rule, a procedural mechanism designed to expedite critical decisions and prevent unnecessary delays in times of national crisis. This expedited timeline underscores the urgency of the situation and reflects the belief among many lawmakers that the allegations against Trump are so serious that they must be addressed immediately. As a result, impeachment is now widely considered inevitable, casting a long and ominous shadow over Trump's future and raising the specter of a Senate trial that could ultimately lead to his removal from office. The political ramifications of such a scenario would be far-reaching and could potentially reshape the American political landscape for years to come. In response to these rapidly unfolding developments, Trump has unleashed a torrent of social media posts filled with accusations, personal attacks, and conspiracy theories, further fueling the flames of division and distrust and exacerbating the already highly polarized political climate. His rhetoric has grown increasingly inflammatory and unhinged, culminating in a thinly veiled threat of civil war, a statement that has sent chills down the spines of many and raised serious concerns about his mental state and his potential to incite violence. These outbursts have been widely condemned by lawmakers on both sides of the aisle and have only served to further isolate him from the mainstream of American politics. Rather than mitigating the damage and attempting to de-escalate the situation, Trump's behavior is only exacerbating his legal woes, providing further evidence against him and strengthening the case for impeachment and potential criminal charges. His actions are being closely scrutinized by lawmakers, legal experts, and the public alike, who are grappling with the implications of his words and deeds and attempting to determine the best course of action to protect the integrity of the Constitution and the rule of law. The long-term consequences of Trump's actions remain uncertain, but it is clear that they have already inflicted significant damage on the nation's political fabric and have eroded public trust in government institutions. As Washington braces for potential unrest, with protests expected and law enforcement on high alert, the next 3 days are poised to be a critical period in American history, a time of intense political maneuvering and potential social upheaval. The potential for more evidence to emerge and further Republican defections looms large, adding to the sense of uncertainty and anticipation and creating an atmosphere of heightened tension and anxiety. The nation is on edge, waiting to see whether its democratic institutions can withstand this unprecedented challenge and whether the rule of law will ultimately prevail. Beyond the immediate prospect of impeachment, Trump faces the potential for criminal charges, with multiple grand juries already active in Washington, New York, and Georgia, investigating various aspects of his conduct and his business dealings. These investigations could lead to indictments that would further complicate his legal situation and potentially expose him to significant penalties, including imprisonment. The prospect of a former president facing criminal charges is unprecedented in American history and would undoubtedly further divide the nation and undermine its standing in the world. Adding to the complexity of the situation, the 25th Amendment, which allows for the removal of a president deemed unfit for office, is also being discussed in hushed tones among government officials, a clear indication of the level of concern about Trump's mental state and his ability to discharge the duties of his office. The mere mention of this constitutional provision, which has rarely been invoked in American history, underscores the gravity of the situation and the extraordinary measures that are being considered to address the crisis. The potential use of the 25th Amendment would undoubtedly spark a constitutional crisis of its own, raising complex legal and political questions that would need to be carefully considered. The Republican Party is fracturing under the weight of these developments, with loyalists doubling down on their support for Trump while pragmatists flee in search of safer political ground, fearing the potential for electoral backlash and the long-term damage that could be inflicted on the party's reputation. The internal divisions within the party are becoming increasingly pronounced and acrimonious, raising questions about its future and its ability to unite behind a common agenda. The crisis has exposed deep fault lines within the Republican Party, pitting Trump loyalists against more moderate and establishment figures and threatening to tear the party apart. Internationally, allies are deeply concerned about the unfolding crisis in the United States, fearing the potential for instability and the impact on global affairs, particularly at a time when the world is already facing numerous challenges, including the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and rising geopolitical tensions. A U.S. president threatening civil war while facing impeachment and criminal exposure is not a normal headline, and it has sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles around the world, raising questions about the reliability of the United States as a partner and its commitment to democratic values. The crisis has also emboldened adversaries who may see an opportunity to exploit American weakness and advance their own interests. This crisis transcends partisan politics, reaching into the very foundations of American democracy and challenging the principles upon which the nation was founded. Judge Ma's actions have shattered the traditional separation between the judiciary and the legislature, forcing Congress to act swiftly and decisively to address the serious allegations against the former president and to uphold the rule of law. The crisis has exposed deep flaws in the American political system and has raised fundamental questions about the accountability of those in power. Delay, a tactic that Trump has historically employed to his advantage to stall investigations and avoid accountability, is no longer an option in this situation. The clock is ticking, and Congress must act with urgency and resolve to address the serious allegations against the former president and to restore public trust in government institutions. The future of American democracy may well depend on the decisions that are made in the coming days.